Hello everyone, welcome back to another one of John's never-ending list of random things to do. And for today's video, I will be working on my 1985 Toyota Celica Supra. The issue is, when I go through all the settings, the blower motor doesn't work. So I'm gonna show you guys the steps that I took to get my blower motor to work. Let's get started. Now the first thing I'm gonna check is my blower motor resistor, and that's located right behind the glove box. So I'm just gonna open this door. And there's 4 screws right here that needs to be removed. So I'm just going to remove those right now. I left the 4th screw on, and then I started to remove these 2 right here on the side. With these 2 screws removed, this bracket can now come out. Now I can proceed to remove the 4th screw. And now you can remove the glove box door. Now proceed to remove the 4 screws located at the top. For this hook here, you want to remember that the pointy edge is at the bottom. Grip both ends like so and pull out the glove box. Now you can remove this clip here from the glove box light or the entire light housing. Let's try that again. There we go. And with the glove box removed, the blower motor resistor is right here. So you want to remove this top screw and then this bottom screw right here. And with those 2 screws removed, you can now pull out your blower motor resistor. As you can see, mine look new. This is actually one meant for the Celica. Originally, the Celica Supra blower motor has a 5-pin configuration, and the one for the Celica has 4 pins. Now all I did was remove these pins here, and I plugged it into the Celica Supra clip. And this is the pin configuration I have. All of the settings are fully functional. Since this blower motor resistor is still brand new, I'm just going to reinstall it. When installing this, make sure this notch is right here, and then screw down the 2 screws. Also, don't forget to make this connection right here. Now you can reassemble your glove box. Make the proper connection to the glove box light, then proceed to insert the glove box. And proceed to install the 4 screws located at the top. For this hook, remember, the pointy edge is at the bottom. The glove box door can now be installed. Position it like so, and then mount it down. I started with 1 screw here, then I proceeded to install the bracket, and insert the 2 screws here on the side. Once the 2 screws were installed and the bracket provided some form of stability, I proceeded to install the rest of the screws. After this, you want to do some testing to see if your blower motor works. If it doesn't, then we're going to continue. So next in line, we're going to remove this bottom panel here, starting with these 3 screws. And with that last screw removed, the bottom panel can now be removed. The OEM subwoofer is in this location right here. I already have mine removed. You may have to remove it as well if you're replacing the blower motor. But before we can say the blower motor is bad, let's first check the heater fuse, the blower motor relay, and the blower motor breaker. All of those can be found right behind this kick panel. In order to remove the kick panel, this screw has to be removed, and these 2 screws right here as well. And since this is missing, I'm just not going to worry about it. But if you do have it, do remove it. This is the last screw that we have to remove. And with that done, just lift this trim up right here and remove the kick panel. So everything is located right here. First, we're going to check the heater fuse. Just pull open this tab right here and then pull the fuse out. Now I'm just going to put it on the multimeter and check for continuity. Alright, it's still good. Just reinstall it now. Next up, we're going to check this blower motor relay right here. In order for me to remove it, I had to insert a flathead up here, and I pulled this entire piece out. So what you had to do is press this tab down and then pull it out. Now that everything's in full sight, I pried this tab here open, and I also pried this tab here on the other side. With those 2 tabs loose, just wiggle it out. And now that it's out, let's check to see if it's still good. So I will be applying positive to this pin here, and if you do, apply negative here. But if you're applying positive here, apply negative here. With that said, let's complete the circuit. That click means the magnetic switch is still good, but that doesn't necessarily mean the relay is still good. So let's check for continuity between these two pins when the magnetic switch is activated. You also want to make sure there's no continuity between these two while the magnetic switch has not been activated. Now activating the switch, checking, and that beep means this relay is still good. So let's reinstall it. Instead of reinserting this piece here, it might have been easier to just remove the circuit breaker while everything was still out. But you can also remove the circuit breaker while it's in like this. All you need is a flathead screwdriver to pry this tab down and a lot of effort. Good, and now that you have it out, you'll notice this small hole on the backside. All you have to do is put a pin in here or anything small like this and reset the circuit breaker. We're also going to check for continuity, so applying it to a digital multimeter and we should hear a beep. And would you look at that? This circuit breaker is still good, so we're going to reinstall it. Assuming all my grounds are still good, everything is saying that my blower motor is bad. While you're removing the blower motor, you're going to realize that this stud is going to get in your way. You can choose to saw it off or work around it. First off, start by removing this plastic hose right here. And make this quick disconnection right here. Press in the tap and wiggle it out. Using a Phillips screwdriver, remove the 3 screws holding the blower motor, and if they're on really tight, use the 8mm socket. Alright, with that last screw removed, now you want to turn this piece counterclockwise, and it'll just fall down. This is the point where it's going to get stuck a little. If you didn't saw this piece off earlier, then you're just going to have to work around it. Now being very careful, pull it towards you and it'll just fall right down. Once you've passed that first part, you'll find yourself stuck again, and this time it's stuck to the plastic fins. At this point, you want to be very careful not to break anything. Once again, carefully pull it towards you so it slips past the stud and it'll fall right down. With the blower motor removed, we'll have to recycle these fins. You can do so by removing this 8mm nut right here. If you are unable to remove this piece easily, use a pry bar, but you might want to use a bigger pry bar and pry it out. Eventually it got to the point where I could just grab it and just wiggle it out. And this is my new blower motor. I'll have it linked in the description below. I'm just going to unpack it real quick. It also came with a clip that snaps right into place with the OEM connection. One thing you might want to do is put them side by side and see if they look identical. In this case, everything looks good. From the original blower motor, I recycled this washer here. And with that placed there, the fins are now ready to be installed. Looking at the inside pattern, you can only fit it 2 ways, one or the other. So insert it onto the blower motor, thread in the new nut, and snug it down with a 3/8 socket. And we'll worry about these wires later. So let's get this blower motor installed. Now to reinstall the blower motor, you want to put it in at this angle to try and avoid the stud at the firewall. You want to also make sure you have this gasket right here, and make sure it doesn't fall off while you're trying to install the blower motor. This is a view right up against the firewall, and you'll see how I just slipped it past this stud. It'll be the same method as when we pulled it out. Pull it towards you, and then slip it past the stud. So I'm just going to add some light so we can see what's happening down here. I just placed my fingers back here like so, and applied some pressure towards me, and slipped it past the stud. Alright, and one more time. Just pull it towards me, and watch it pass the stud. Alright, that's good. With the difficult part done, just get a hold of the blower motor, and then turn it clockwise, and it should just fall in place like this. Now reinsert the screws and tighten them down. And with that, the blower motor should be secured. Next you want to do is place this hose back to its position. And with these 2 cables here, Since I don't know which one goes where, I'm just gonna try this and see if it's blowing out correctly. So I'll just place them in like so, make sure they're not touching so they're not shorting, and then test it out. So instead of blowing out air, it was sucking in air. So I'm just gonna flip these two around and test it again. And air is coming through the vents, so this is the proper connection. I'm just gonna go back down here and remember where the cables were connected. Now I can make the proper connection to the new clip. Remember, the right one connected here. So on the new clip, it's gonna be pushed into here. And that just means the black one goes here. Now make the proper connection and test it again. Once you've tested it, go ahead and hide the wire. And now we are ready to reinstall the kick panel. You want to lift this trim right here and slide the kick panel back into place. Reinstall these two screws right here. Reinstall this one screw right here. And reinstall this small one right here. Now, while you're installing the lower panel, you'll notice this guide pin right here. It fits right in here. Once you're ready, go ahead and insert it like so. If you have your subwoofer, go ahead and install it before this. And once you're ready, install these 3 screws right here. With that last piece inserted, we are now done. You can now drive around with your blower motor fully functional. I hope you guys found this helpful. If it was and you liked it, go ahead and give me a thumbs up. And if you're not subscribed yet, maybe even consider subscribing. Thank you all for watching, and I will see you guys for the next random project.